Welcome back to the Collective Journey podcast. Abe and I are back on the mic, and today is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday that we're celebrating.
Yeah, pioneer. Definitely a pioneer. I guess we're celebrating his life today, his life's work. I wouldn't even be here or be in this existing how I exist without his vision and his work. So I definitely thank him for that. It wasn't too long ago for a lot of minorities. And I'm just going to, even for Mexicans, they weren't even allowed in town. They would have to stay outside of town. And, there's, signs like no Mexicans welcome, stuff like that. No blacks, things of that nature. And, he paved the way. He wasn't just the one of, there's a lot of people that kind of contributed to that whole process, but he was definitely one of the pioneers, visionary. What do you got for us today, Court?
Definitely. So this is where we're at. We created our goals, and it's a new year, and everybody's amped up, right? I'm amped up, you're amped up. I've had a few people let us know on our Instagram page, if you're not following, at the Collective Journey podcast, hey, thanks for putting out the episode about, setting your goals and figuring them out and doing the vision board. But now we're at the point where we've got the vision board, we've got the goals. What's next? Time management. As boring as that sounds, no lie, that's where I'm at right now. I need to reevaluate my time management skills, because I wouldn't say, it's probably a good strong point of mine. And I know that when you and I put our heads together, we always end up coming out on top with, you share with me what you do, and I share with you what I do. So that's what I'm in today. I'm how do we move forward with everything that we have personally planned for this year? And then what about our listeners who are hey, I got stuff going on, and I don't know how to achieve all these goals.
How do we move forward? I don't even fucking know, Let us know.
No, but so trying to move forward with time management, I was thinking, when did life get so, busy for me? And because I look at life today, and I'm juggling 2 careers. We have a family. We're about to move back to the States. There's so much going on, and I really don't have time to not be disciplined with my time management. And then I was thinking, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I was kind of just went down the rabbit hole with it. And I was thinking, what did it look like when I was 18 and I had just joined the military, right? 18, no responsibilities. And I was very much like I am today, just full force, going 100 miles an hour, working, coming home from work, going to school. I had 16-hour days. I did that for 4 years with minimal time off from school, because I knew what I wanted and I was trying to meet my goals. And then I left active duty, and I was I am burned out. I want to chill. I want to coast.
So what'd you do?
So then I just went to school. I was just going to school full time. And I was you know what? I put the Air Force, in the forefront for the first 4 years of my life. And now I'm just going to do what I need to do. And I do not feel the need to continue to go above and beyond, that, what do you call it? That stellar airman. I was just I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get by. And honestly, I know you're not supposed to say that, but that was my mentality at the time, because I was burned out.
But at the time, I guess, I think that's perfectly fine. If you're getting, it's prioritizing your life, right?
Yeah. I think I look back and I'm like, I have these moments where I'm like really hard on myself. I'm like, that's where you went wrong. But then I'm like, if I would have learned to take care of myself and to take breaks, then like just practice self-care more, then I probably wouldn't have been burned out. So then you like fast forward a little bit, because I was doing that for a while, and then I got caught up in life and hit some rough patches, and I was like, yo, you got to get your shit together. Like, because it was just a lot of moments of failure, like one after another, and then it felt like I hit rock bottom, and then it felt like I just broke, and I ended up getting a job full time. I started my career in the government, and then I was going to school, trying to finish my bachelor's degree, and I was like, all right, like, we coasted, now we're back on track, and we're going. And then I started dating you. We started dating, and I was like, all right, like, I'm seeing this guy who lives overseas. Now I got to figure out, in the midst of me getting settled into my civilian career, how to move my Air Force career, how to move my education, and how to find a job overseas if we're going to have a life together. And it was like, that was when I really had to buckle down, because at that point in my life, I had so many responsibilities, and I had nobody that I could really fall back on if things fucked up. So I was like, all right, we're going to pre-schedule out our days and our weeks in order to accomplish these goals. So what was my goal? My goal was, the end goal was to move to Germany. And then it was like, and how are we going to get there? All right, like, we're going to work on, like, here's all the steps that I need to make in order to get there. And so then, with that being said, at that time, I had a very, very demanding, high-paced job. Like, it was just a very fast-paced, high-speed, like, always on my toes. By the time I would come home, I would be, like, exhausted. Like, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but, like, like, you come home and you're just exhausted. So I would block out my time throughout the day. I'd be like, okay, like, I'm going to spend this amount of time on, at work on these tasks, and then when it comes to my lunchtime, I'm going to make sure that I do X, Y, and Z in order to get closer to my end goal. So there was block time that I would do. Like, I would just set, like, all right, I'm going to devote 30 minutes today, or 2 hours, like, whatever time I had in my day, that's how much time I gave to it, whether it was 5 minutes or 30 minutes, because you're not always, I feel like when life gets busy, you're not always going to be allotted the amount of time that that's perfection in your eyes, or I don't know, I'm trying to like stem for the right word. But then I would make lists, and I would categorize my list. Like, this is when the OCD like really gets intense. But I would just make lists for everything that I needed to do, and then I would just categorize it in different categories.
Yeah, you do have all like these notebooks full of like random lists. I wouldn't say random, but like it's like lists on top of lists. It's like not just the grocery list, it's like today's priority list, and then tomorrow's things that you're going to do, and then, when everything's like itemized. At first, I was like kind of driving it. I'm not going to lie, I was like, it's kind of crazy. But you kind of put me onto that, and I actually use that at work. I was thinking about it not too long ago, and I was like, we talked about, I was like making lists, and I was like, I'm not a list type person, but I guess I am. So I made a tracker, remember, not too long ago on Excel, where it automatically like prioritizes your tasks, and by priority and like by due dates and stuff like that. And I use it all the time at work because I have like 1,000 things and like 400 people, to oversee. And I'm just like, man, this is a lot. But now, I use the list, and if I just feel better. Like once I go through my I start, knocking things out, start crossing things off the list. Even if it's like little stuff, I'll just add it on there. Mm-hmm. And I feel 1,000 times better. And I'm not even that organized of a person, like naturally, but that keeps me crazy organized. Yeah, if anybody wants to get this tracker for me, I'll send it to you. It's pretty legit, but...
It was a solid idea when you told me, because I came to you when I went back to work after maternity. I was like, yo, I can't think. I can't keep up. And I remember at that time, I just had to what's the word? It was all right, we need to reevaluate. We need to come up with something new. All my old things that I had done in my job just weren't working anymore. And that tracker I still use to this day in my new job that I'm sitting in now, because it's just phenomenal. And it really reprogrammed the way that I think. And then it's I use it for personal reasons too, because it's all right, people get so caught up in there's too much to do, and it's you just completely shut down, and it's no, just write it down. One of my friends,
it's not even that much.
Yeah. And one of my friends on IG was saying that it's therapeutic to write it down and to cross it out. And they were I even keep a notebook beside my bed. And she was because whenever I have things that cross my mind in the middle of the night, I'll just write them down. And I feel I know you guys might be listening and be that's a lot. Okay, now we're talking too much here. But it's, for me, I just, I live a very busy life, and it's kind of scary for me to try to keep all my ducks in a row and not let anything drop, because I feel I can't afford to let anything drop the ball on anything. And so to me, that's my security blanket, having a book to just write everything down in and categorize lists. And that's how I manage the chaos, because your girl does not have time to not be disciplined.
Yeah. And I love that it's fully automated, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't use it.
Yeah. So I would say definitely that Excel tracker was legit. But those are my little ways to try to manage my time and stay on top of things. And I know as far as my goals went last year, that definitely helped, doing the list and blocking time, because
blocking time is huge. Mm-hmm. If you don't make the time, right, you probably won't ever make the time. Does that make sense? Yeah. You have to allocate time out of your day, even for the smallest tasks. If you don't put it on your schedule and you're no, I am doing this certain thing. I don't know, mopping my floor at this certain time in the day. If not, I won't ever do it, or, things of that nature.
Also, where you spend your time and
leisure time even too. Yeah.
I know for me, whenever I was last year, I was all right, I'm going to hone in on all these things that I want to accomplish. I'm not going to be scrolling. I'm not going to be responding to iMessage. I'm not going to be returning all the phone calls. I'm not going to be, checking DMs, anything. If I don't have time in my day to do my priorities, then these other things are not going to happen, because these need to happen. These take priority. So for me, that was a big thing, trying to get our family and friends on board with, hey, I'm not being an asshole, but I'm not responding to your iMessage. Yes, I know it's been a couple of days, but I'm busy. I'm trying to get somewhere. And that's my whole thing is if you are trying to get somewhere and achieve something, you have to put the effort in, block your time, make out a schedule, cut time out. If you're like me, you're I have no time. It's yes, you do. Put your cell phone down. Don't be scrolling. Don't be responding to DMs. Don't feel the pressure. Take that and run with it. Don't apologize. Be very unapologetic, because you're trying to achieve something. And it's not going to be achieved if you're responding to your DMs
it just goes back to that whole, nobody's going to look out for your best interests better than you.
So true.
So yeah, I mean, you know what goals you're and what things you're working towards. So yeah, don't let people deter you. That's what I would definitely say.
So, what do you do? Like, what are your little tips?
I think we've talked about it, and I think I've talked about it earlier on like some of the episodes. But one of the things that I kind of got introduced by one of my mentors, old supervisor. He 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 read like an article, and it was this high ranking official within our organization, pretty successful, and he's pretty much runs the Air Force, or was running the Air Force at the time for our civilian friends. So his breakdown, his philosophy, he had like a philosophy he used to kind of manage his not only his work life, but his like personal life, his family life, his leisure time. And it was like 2, 10, 5, 7. And reading it, I was like, that's just a bunch of numbers, right? But he broke it down, and it was like 2 hours in the morning, fitness, meditation, reading, like that time is for you. And pretty much he was like kind of getting people to like wake up a little bit earlier than what they would normally do, because they're like, if you wake up early, like your boss isn't, hounding you already as soon as you get to work, or your kids aren't asking for your attention, like they're asleep, or your spouse or your significant other, your girlfriend, like they're not there with you, they're asleep, like they could care less, like it's just you and yourself. So 2 hours, like, and I don't know I'm sure everybody's woke up a little bit earlier than everybody in the morning, and you're like, I'm sure you're always like, dang, like this kind of eerie, like I'm legit alone, right? Like, and this time is for me. I started doing that, and that was great. So, and then it's like, 2 hours of fitness, meditation, 10 hours of work, right? Like that's like the work time that you have to be, right? Like most people will kind of work 8-hour jobs or 10-hour jobs, whatever, like just to live. Like you have to put in that work, and you focus on your work in those 10 hours or whatever that may be, whether it be school or like just getting your day-to-day done. And then the other is like 5 hours of like family time, like unplugged. So you're doing all this stuff, right? You got to give it back to your family, and like a part of it, right? Like you got to work on your relationship, you got to work on your marriage, you got to work on the relationship with your kids. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that grow up or have kids, and they're just like, oh man, I wish me and my kids were a little bit closer. And it's like, well, take the time, put in the time to get to know them. And then the last one is like, you at least, after doing all this, you at least need 7 hours of sleep, like minimum, just like this is like a good, healthy, sleep cycle at least, right? Without like you killing yourself. I hear a bunch of I know a bunch of like billionaires and Elon Musk and like the Bill Gates, like they only like sleep 3 hours or something like that. But I know for me, like sleep is important. I gotta fucking sleep, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm kind of lazy, like I love to sleep. So he kind of introduced me to that, and I started kind of breaking down my time. And I was like, how can I schedule my time around this philosophy? I'm going to try it out, see how it works. So I tried it out, and I was like super effective, right? And then it helped me reframe my mind into being like, oh, when I'm with my family, I'm like with my family. I shouldn't be thinking about work, right?
You're present.
Yeah, like I'm present, like I'm unplugged. Like I'm not answering to emails or seeing what's going on in our like work chat just to make sure I'm tracking stuff for tomorrow. Like just unplugged, or just the 2 hours of like fitness or meditation. I'm not thinking about like, oh man, I gotta meet that deadline. I have this stuff to do. Like I have this team leaving. Like I have to coordinate this, and this with a bunch of different people, these meetings, I have to prepare for this. Mm-hmm. So, like, I just kind of shut it off. That's kind of what I do. That's in short. I know that kind of went on a little bit long, but that's what I do.
I like that because I remember you came home and you told me about it, and I had never seen life like that before. And we had just had Levi, and so I was, just very much in the mom fog. And I was like, what? Like, when you told me about it, I was like, I don't know. It was like one of those things, like divine timing, because it just lined up really great with where we were at in life. And I can't imagine where we would be today if you didn't have that briefing, because we didn't know how to do life with Levi and how to like be successful in our careers, but also like be present parents afterwards, after work and all the things. And then, don't forget about yourself. So
that's the big thing too, is like those 2 hours. I mean, it seems so small, but like people forget about themselves all the fucking time.
So true.
And for me, like I'm a workaholic, dude. Mm-hmm. Like I have to be like, oh, stop. Like it could wait until tomorrow. Go read a book to your son. And they're like, all right, I gotta do that. Like that's way more important. Like I'm tripping right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. I don't follow it very like strictly. I think with this new year that is definitely something I want to do, but
and that here's the thing though too. I'm sorry, but it's a habit, right? Like at the beginning I was super strict with it. I don't know if you remember, like I had like apps to like tell me when my time was started and this and that. Mm-hmm. But then afterwards, like I stopped using the apps and it just became a habit.
Yeah. I think that it's really great. I wanted to comment on how it's really great that not only does it, because everyone has excuses, right? Like everyone's like, I don't have time, but it sets you up for success because it's a scheduled out day. And not only that, it's like it works because it's a scheduled out day. You should start your day by yourself, with yourself. Jay Shetty, who I'm like always chopping on, like he wrote the book Think Like a Monk, and he says that like monks, their whole day is spent serving and giving to others, and how they spend the first part of their day by themselves in meditation. So it's like, so that way the rest of your day is spent giving out, and which it's like, everybody knows that, right? Like you wake up, you go to work, I don't think
everybody knows it.
Well, it's like, now you do. But, like you spend your day just giving to everybody and everything else. And it's like, you need to think about yourself, because and then something that my life and mindset coach mentioned to me when I was taking the class with her, she was saying, like, what are you going to do to keep your cup full? Like, if you don't take care of yourself, then how are you going to do all these things that you need to do? And that I'm like, yo, like that really had me going, because I was like, like the deer in the headlights will like, fuck, I feel dumb. Like I should have known that, because it's like, how are you going to go at full speed 100 and not get burned out and not be, unhappy? So
yeah, you shouldn't always be the pitcher.
Yeah. So I definitely have taken that into account with the last year, that I wake up, even if it's like, because it's like 2 hours, that's a lot. And people got to like work up to that. So like, even if it's just 5 minutes before you wake up, where your like 5,000 alarms start going off, or like Levi starts crying, I'm like, even if it's 5 minutes, instead of just like feeling like a failure, like, oh, I didn't give myself the 2 hours. Like, I just give myself grace, and I'm like, all right, like, we made 5 minutes today. That's all that matters. Like, you got 5 minutes. Just making the most of your time. But I like that the schedule starts out with, like, give yourself time in the morning. I think that's why it's probably so successful and why it works, is because that's so important to start your day with giving yourself time, because then you're able to be productive and do all the things that you need to do. And a lot of people don't think about being a present parent, like turn off the phone, like don't respond to the emails, come home early if you can.
Present in your relationship, any relationship.
That too.
People really struggle with that shit. I mean, I love Instagram and like the whole social media thing. Like, it's fun. I do it, but I have like timers set too. I'm like, oh well, I've gone over my hour for today. I really overdid it today. Like that was too much. But
yeah. So I think that's a good little tidbit for everybody to take away.
Yeah, you should try it. And if it doesn't work for you, I mean, not obviously, like, this is just what worked for me. Obviously, you have to find your schedule, your rubric, right? Because when you have a rubric or something to kind of get you to the next move or a plan, like, you're always going to be way, way more effective than if you didn't, if you're just kind of shooting from the hip type shit. So a lot of that is just even just prioritizing your life, right?
For sure. If you don't figure out what's important, then you're not, and what's not important, then you're not going to make it. You're not going to achieve your goals. You're not going to see them through.
Yeah, somebody once kind of told me you need a, I was doing like actually funny that we're kind of talking about this. I was doing like a time management PD, like a professional development seminar for like, for my job pretty much. And one of the things that I put on there was like, it was just like a professional time management type things. It was like, and it was more for like work tasks, but it was like do, defer, delegate, delete, right? But honestly, you could apply that to your life, like, deferring things, re-looking at things, delegating things, or just like, this task for me right now requires too much of my time. That's going to take away from my family. I might as well just like hire somebody to do it. Or even just like deleting the unnecessary bullshit out of your life. Like, it's pretty applicable, definitely.
Yeah. But wait, what does defer mean? Laugh at me.
Defer, like, delay.
Delay,
so,
okay.
Like, yeah, if you're like, if it's not that important, right, and it could wait, say like a work email, you're like, it's important, but it's not important right now. Like, it could wait until tomorrow. I'd rather spend time with my family now. Like, you definitely, in that certain circumstance, you would defer or you would delay that certain task because other things take more priority. Right? Yeah.
I also like something that you brought to the table when we moved in together was the fact that, like, to me, finances it's been like a wave, like there's good days and there's bad days, but I definitely just grew up being a penny pincher. Like, that's how I was raised. And so I would devote, a lot of time to like doing certain things because I knew I could do it. But the way that you laid it out is you're like, time is money and your time is valuable. So like you just said, if you delegate something to someone else to do a service for you, you're getting your money's worth out because you're able to spend time with your family or spend time going to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's so important. I think that's something a lot of people don't think about. I know I never thought about it. I was just like, no, like we got, I need to, save this $30. But in reality, like I'm spending X amount of hours trying to take care of this when I could just easily spend the $30, to have some.
Yeah,
buddy
maybe
completed.
I'm kind of crazy, but I kind of look everything on like how long it's gonna take me. So if I'm like, for me, like I'm a big gearhead, and I'm like I could change this oil maybe like in an hour, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'm like I gotta go buy the oil. It's like another hour. I gotta do this, another hour. All right, so like maybe 2.5 hours out of my day has been taken into changing oil, right? Mm-hmm. And then I look at how much it would cost to change it, and it's like, oh, it's $30, and I'm like, $30, like I'm not dumb. I could definitely change my own oil, but I'd rather pay $30, $10 an hour this guy that will do it for me. Like I'd rather just do that. Like why not?
I'm not gonna lie. When you first like told me this whole breakdown, I was like, "This motherfucker is crazy."
That's how I
it
look at it. But I
works.
look at things in that fashion where I'm just like, nah, like that's gonna take way too. Like I could do that task, but it's gonna take way too much out of my day, time, materials, everything. Like to complete this thing that I could do myself. I'm a big do-it-yourself type person, but there's certain things where I'm just like, it's not worth it. Like I rather, unless it's enjoyable for me. If it's enjoyable for me to do it, and it's gonna be therapeutic, yeah, like I'll go out of my way and do it. And then I always have like 1,000 projects going on, but there's certain projects where I'm like, nah, I'm good, dude. Like leave it to the quotations, like professionals, but
Yeah. So, creating healthy time habits.
so yeah, creating healthy time habits. Honestly, develop your rubric, relook at it, make your goals, set milestones week to week, month to month. And at the end of that, you should always be reevaluating things like how it fits into your life, right? Priority wise, you're like, this isn't, putting in all this time into work isn't that important. My family's important now. Like things change, people grow up, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the books that actually helped me out a lot, and I always reference it as like The Power of Habit. So I recommend you guys look up that book. But The Power of Habit has like a bunch of like helpful techniques and tools, because not everybody is automatically geared like that in that way. So they kind of reframe your mindset to look at getting into healthier habits and replacing shitty habits with good habits that's going to pay dividends. So I don't know, that's a great book. I always go back time to time, and I'm like, I need to relook at this. And not everybody is David Goggins. Not everybody wakes up and they're like, boom, I'm David Goggins. I'm like this, like, for those of you who don't know, David Goggins is like a Air Force TAC P, like a special forces guy, Navy SEAL. Like he's legit. Like if you ever have the time, like look him up. He's super legit. But not everybody just wakes up as like David Goggins, right? There's like a growth period. You have to make small goals, right? Like dream big, right? And then with progress, like small steps, right? Think small. Don't get discouraged. Like a lot of like the quote unquote time management shit that I do, like that stuff that took me, months to develop, me getting into the habit or me getting into the mindset of like, you need to stop saying you don't have enough time, and you need to make time, and you need to allocate time. You need to look at your goals. You need to make a rubric, so that way you're not scrambling every morning or at the end of every day going to bed, and you're like, damn, I didn't do this, and this. I have this, and this to do. But if you've had already pre-planned it out that morning of, like, you're good. You kind of sleep well knowing like, well, I already got a plan moving forward. So I definitely, I guess for our listeners, I challenge you guys to develop your rubric, your goals, right? And when I say develop your rubric and goals, like make shit specific, make it obtainable, and make it kind of mesh well with your life. I mean, don't be out there Billy Badass, and like saying like, I'm gonna run 10 miles in the morning, and you didn't even wake up that morning, like, because the kid was crying all night. Like, small. So with that being said, hit us with a like, a comment. All right, we're out.
All right, guys, thanks for listening.